And with that, I'm not going to take a break, but I do have a special guest. It is Mighty Men Thursday, and it's time for our Mighty Men Thursday segment. And good morning, and we're back to Unfiltered Vision News, where we're bringing you the news unfiltered. And today it's Thursday, and it's Mighty Men Thursday, and I have a very special guest. His name, well, I call him Rock. Other people call him Uncle Rock. Some people just call him Unc. And I'm going to have him join me this morning for Mighty Men Thursday. How you doing, Unc? Are you there? Your screen's not there. It's dark, but I see your name. Let me remove you from the stage. Let him get situated and settled. I thought he was there. Okay, there we go. Almost there. Oops. Okay, I think a little bit of technical difficulty. He'll be right back in the room. Okay, I see him now. There we go.
Call come through and then
Oh,
kick me
gotcha.
out of you.
Understand. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, you
Thank
go
you.
by Unc, you go by Rock, Uncle
Yeah,
Rock,
I go
you
by
know.
Rock, but on Spaces it's just Uncle Rock. But yeah.
Okay, I just want to make
Good
sure you can hear.
morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yes. I
Cool.
always have to do a sound check
All right,
before
no
we get
problem.
started.
No problem.
Yes, but so please introduce yourself, tell the people a little bit about you and what you're working on in the community and where they can follow you.
Okay. Uh, on X, I'm Uncle Rock. My name is Rock Williams. I've been in music business for a long time in the early 80s, 90s, and so forth. Did very good with that. Lived in Atlanta since the early 80s. Been very involved in the structure of the music industry in Atlanta during that 90s, early 90s. And with all that done, I had pretty good success with that, you know. And but now in my elder age, I'm more focused on teaching the community about politics and helping through my nonprofit called Black Atlanta Coalition. We go out into the communities and help with different events. We put on events to educate through entertainment. Those are the things that we're doing now as Black Atlanta Coalition. So to get in touch, my ex is Uncle Rock. My email would be Black Atlanta Coalition at gmail.com. The website is blackatlantacoalition.com. So those are the ways you could reach and find out what we're doing in the community and different events and stuff that we're having. So that's kind of a short synopsis of who I am and what I do. But thank you for allowing me to the stage, to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
show, should I say?
Yes, thank you. And thank you for being on here. And you also are doing a political show, I think from like 9 to 12 on
Yeah, yeah,
X.
yes, on X. My thing was that the system has taught us to just they just recruit you to vote, right? And we're changing our stance on voting. We're not just voting and sitting down. We're actually teaching the understanding of politics. So every morning, or not every morning, Tuesday through Friday from 9 to 12, we host a space, Black Preservation League. Uh, I'll post that if we can. So we hold that every morning to educate, talk about politics, what pros and cons is. I went over some things, what I call the 10 places in politics that directly affect us either positively or negatively, right? So those things are the top things in our local government that I think affects us. So we just use that platform to teach. We talk about today's politics, yesterday's. We evaluate things. We evaluate ourselves. We do a report card like in school. We started doing a what you call a progress report midway. We do a report card at the end so that we can see and evaluate what we're doing. Is it effective or do we need to change? Is it working? Things that we can share with the audience and with our followers and stuff like that. So you're more than welcome to get some politic education through these bright minds. Founders always on there with her stuff. She's brilliant mind when it comes to politics. So yeah, that's kind of what we do. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. And I've been a part of the space, and I really like it because it is a building space, it is an educational space. I
Hmm.
know last week you had covered the SCOTUS hearing, and I guess you guys are going to be covering that again this
Today.
week. Okay, so that's going to happen today. Okay, so
Yeah.
if you guys are, on X, or if you are listening from maybe YouTube or Facebook, and you want to, listen in with us, because we'll also have a discussion about it depending on how long the hearing is.
Hmm.
We dig deeper into what SCOTUS is saying, and I was just there was an article the other day of where SCOTUS determined that the lower court basically couldn't tell the executive branch what to do, and President Trump was allowed, which is crazy. He was allowed to deport over 350,000 people that were here illegally. It's like, how are you allowed to do your job? Crazy, but in any effect, that um, opinion and that determination with that particular case, in my opinion, is going to determine how this birthright citizenship case moves forward, because the executive branch has put out an executive order saying no more birthright citizenship, and birthright citizenship is not in our law. It is something that was literally made up. It's not a law, it's not codified anywhere. It's just something, it's a name that they gave, and they ran with it, and they were allowed to run with it and write policy behind it. And the only entity, I should say, within our political structure that has the right to determine anything about immigration is our Congress. That falls with them. There's no state that can make people, um, let's just say, citizens by proxy. That's why they call them residents. They don't call them citizens.
Correct.
So yeah. So I didn't know if there was any topic that you wanted to speak about, because we were introduced to you. You've given us a little bit of who you are. I've been talking about, you may have heard me talking about the South Afrikaners that are here, and kind of what people call the ambush on the South African president. People are like, yeah, give it to him. I'm like, this is none of our business, first of all.
Facts.
Let's just start there.
I agree
Let's
with you.
just start right there. This is none of our business, but we are bound and determined to bring people into our house and say, you know what, I don't like what you're doing over there at your house. What?
Which is the problem with America anyway. We always got their nose in everybody's business. You know, you can't be the ethics of how to do things right when your own country hasn't done anything right. Right? It's kind of oxymoron to me. You're preaching, but you're not practicing what you preach. Right? So
Oh yeah,
so with
absolutely.
that, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I agree with you on that. It is, but you know that's the trick bag of America. Everything what I've learned, you know, because I've really had to redo my mind and dump all the misinformation out and put all the good information. And I've been doing this since 2020, when we were told to go in the house and sit down because of the pandemic. But in that space, we began to be on these social apps, and we began to hear the things that people were saying, how they really felt about foundation of Black Americans. We are the most loving people on the planet. We've done things for everyone, but it seems like when they get to our soil, everyone forgets, or they don't research how and why am I here. Who they believe that the so-called flat whiteness, whatever ethnicity you're under that name, are the reasons that they're here. And it's nothing could be further from the truth. We are the reasons. We've been fighting our own war on this soil while helping the world around us. And what we found out in 2020, while sitting in the house, when they told us as grown people to go in time out, we would listen to what the world was saying about us. And when we listened, we found out that nobody, and I mean nobody on this planet, is on the side of foundation of Black Americans. And then you have the audacity to come to our soil and be disrespectful, ungrateful, and get in our political seats and not fight for those who fought for you, but fight against those who fought for you. So yeah, it's a trick bag like I've never seen before. So the miseducation of our minds is so in depth because it starts from the womb to the classroom. And
Mhm.
when you got that much indoctrination, it carries on through college, and then it just carries on through life. By that time, That's why you get the diploma when you walk across the stage and everybody's cheering. It just simply says these people are fully indoctrinated into the miseducation of America, and they will continue this to pass this on through their generation and offspring, right? So, yeah, that's why we are doing our political spaces, because I know without a shadow of a doubt that I was also told to just get out and vote. Not how to vote or who to vote for, not to research the people that you're voting for, but just get out and pass that vote. And I never promoted to vote for Republican. I've been voting Democrat for all my life, and just voting just to vote. It's just like things are passed on to us through our childhood, right?
Hmm.
And so, yeah, this is where we at now. So I agree with you that citizenship, the 14th Amendment, anything that was written, or any constitution amendments, any laws were specifically written for a specific group of people called the descendants of chattel slavery of America. So people are able to use these things. We didn't lock the back door. We allowed the door to be open. So people have been told how to use what was specifically for us to benefit them and their groups that come over here to be disrespectful to us. So we're just
Yeah.
doing a new rebranding of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And to your point, it is very interesting. I always find it fascinating when people are like, yeah, you need to stand up and fight. And when we stand up and fight, they're like, wait, well, why are you being so aggressive? We just wanted you to be nice about this. There is no niceness in war, and we are at war. Let's keep it
For sure.
real.
And it's a war
Okay.
without guns, right? When that we
Exactly.
right.
Exactly. And it's like, again, you tell me as a Black American, well, you need to stand up. Okay. And when I do stand up, you tell me don't stand up because you don't want that heat. Right. And you also don't want it because you're going to have to admit you were wrong. And I
Correct.
think that's where people don't want to be. There's like, well, we're not the bad guy. No, you're not the bad guy. You were just carrying out what the bad guy put in place. And we're
And
here to
that's
stop.
correct. And that's because most of them do no research, right? Like right now, we are used to what's going on in America, right? So what's
Mhm.
affecting America and all these people mad and screaming, and all what I call these Ellis Islander newcomers and their offspring and all those new melanated people who come from Africa and the Caribbeans, they didn't experience the first shake ugly war that was going on in America. We did. We've been a part of it since day one. So now that you came, those Ellis Islanders came in, and they came in on this part two of America, right? Where everything is cool, everybody can work, you can get a job, buy a house, invest with blood money. I call that, because all this economics started with our ancestors. So there's blood money you can use. But they never understood, or they didn't research that there's always been a black and white war in America. It
Mhm.
was just swept up under the rugs when you guys
Yeah.
came in. You thought it was peaches and cream, but it wasn't. It was spoiled milk, right? And so now that they're seeing it, they don't understand it, but we have always understood it. So it's not shaking us as much as them, but it is the great shaking of America, and it must happen.
And it does. There was a book that I read called The Black Tax that I think definitely people should read, and even From Here to Equality. But in The Black Tax, just on the financial terrorism aspect, there have been a few banks like Bank of America and Wells Fargo, they actually had to pay restitution for disproportionately not approving loans to
Hmm.
individuals, especially those that are Black Americans. Now, they gave it to Africans because they're not from here, and every other group that they consider quote unquote minorities that they put over us, but they were even harmed as well, but not as much as we are. And, somebody said it best in one of the spaces. They're like, how are we pretty much, of the soil to be repaired, but we're still economically disenfranchised? It's like, how do those two things happen? How do you have a whole community that's majority Black, but there are no Black businesses within that city? And then people say, well, you need to recycle your dollars. And yeah, we know that. But the people that look like us that sit on the city council don't want to allow Black businesses in that area to build themselves up unless they are from the countries that they are from. Right. And it turns into not a Black American community. And then, yes, our dollars are taken and they are not recycled, and we spend more. The reason why we spend more is because we are not spending it with ourselves. And so it looks disproportionate. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. It kind of segued into what I was saying. The the miseducation of understanding everything that you said is because one, we have allowed immigrants that are not foundational to this soil to now sit in our seats of decisions, right? So they have come together with Office of New America, look it up, Cities for Action, look it up, where these government officials, mayors on your local level have come together and said that we will look out for the immigrants over foundational Black Americans. And not only that, we have sinners sitting in our seats. I call them sinners because they're old vampires that have been placed and bitten by those called white vampires, bit black vampires, and those people sit in our seats and make decisions not to benefit the community, but to absolutely work against the community that's
Mhm.
sponsored by it. So it's no. So when our communities look like it is, you have to then question what I said are the 10 political positions on your local level, which is city council members, which is school board members, which is the mayor, which is the county commissioner, which is the city of clerks, which is the treasurer, and which is zoning, and which is public directors. These people, you have to understand what their responsibilities are. These, especially when it comes to the council members, which in most of our black cities are black Democrats, black old vampires. These are the sinners that are sitting in these seats and not doing anything for the community. And how do I know that? Because I can go to any black community and it does not look like it's prominent like those on the north
Right.
side or the
Mhm.
east side or the west side. So what is going on? You have to understand what these people do, what their positions are, so you can hold them responsible for your lack of not doing anything. And the most important thing is we got to run candidates to
Mm.
get these people out these seats, right? And
Right.
and we're not party sensitive. If I have any party I'm going to support is the Redemption Party. I'm not going to or any other party that is anything but that. We use the Republican and Democrat parties because that is the only
Right.
things. Those are the two top dogs, right?
Right.
But they are not the ones in your favor. And we got a lot of people in seats that are not doing anything for us. And yeah, I agree with you on that, man. It's our communities will never be what they need to be if we don't get the proper people that look out for the people first and not their friends who they get showing all these bags of money, as we saw with Elon and Doge did, finding all this money that American taxpayers were spending all over the world, except for the people who helped their first economic growth in America, which is our ancestors who are supporting us in this move of retaking our soil and our political seats.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. And when we're here, we're at the precipice, of getting
mhm,
it. What I don't want to hear is I don't want to hear people fussing about it now. Well, what do you mean? No, be quiet.
right,
Stop
right,
telling me to fight. And then when I'm fighting, tell me to stop fighting. It's
right.
the dumbest thing
And
in
there's
the
always those
world.
people, and there's always those people who just on the sideline, right? They check the people who are in the fight and
Hmm.
but be on the sideline complaining about the fight. Like,
Oh,
what do
oh
you
yeah.
want? What
Oh
do you
yeah.
want? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's mind boggling, you know, the things that we go through. And I started my political fight, back in 2022 when I was running for president. I was like, okay. Everybody was like, why are you running for president? I was like, because that's what I'm supposed to do. And then I started the party, and then the party won, our first election. And I've been in the fight, ever since that time. But it took me getting off the couch and getting engaged, and a lot of times we don't want to get engaged. And even with the Republican Party, people call some of the Republicans rhinos that where they're Republican in name only. It's because they are Democrats in disguise within the Republican Party. So if
Correct.
you're wondering why the Republican Party doesn't look like the Frederick Douglass Republican Party, that's why. And they're still weeding those people out. And we have people, that do support the Redemption Party. They're in the Republican Party fighting to change that because they can see the destruction of their own party coming to fruition. I'm like, oh, you finally starting to see these people and weed them out. This is
Yeah.
why you're viewed the way you're viewed, right?
Hmm.
Because you weren't holding people accountable, and it's because you have an ideology. Both parties do. To me, I'm like, our country should be at a better place and not in a worse place if these parties are so great and wonderful.
That's right. I agree with you 100%. And that is the problem. The retake of America by the foundational people here in America. Man, we are so far behind. This thing started back in 1999 with the Office of New
Yeah.
America. It was
Hmm.
introduced and put in motion when Barack Obama got in office, and it's been continuously going on because we, unfortunately, didn't pay attention to the blackness. Everybody was cool. I was part of it too. Black first. I didn't, tears. I didn't know if I was going to ever see a black president. Oh my God. But then you find out later, it was a Kenyan. It wasn't even a foundation. We have not had a foundation of black president yet. So
No.
with those things, everybody's in our government and in our seats except the people who should be fighting for the soil. Just like when that cosplaying a person named Kamala Harris, right? She said, yeah, when asked, are you going to do anything for reparations for black people? And I mean, direct question. She had to come to the truth of herself and say, well, let's be clear. And let's be real clear. I ain't gonna do nothing for Black Foundation of Black Americans that's not gonna benefit everybody. That is the ideology of these parties. You know what I mean? They don't. They they're not gonna do anything specific for the people who they should be doing things specific for, right? They mix all these things up in our things, and so it gets real confusing. But again, that goes back to what I said. We have these immigrants that have come on our soil and have got into our politics because we have been voting and sitting back in the couch, as you said, and not really being engaged in watching this thing. We are voting people in, and we don't even know the lineage or the ethnicity of these people. Are they really for America first? Or are they just from another country living in America, fighting for their offspring and their ethnicity or wherever they come from?
Right, right.
So these are the problems.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Ilhan Omar. We can use her
Yes.
a great example, right? She is I'm trying to think of the country that she's from because I can see
Somalia.
Somalia.
Yeah.
And I want to say that's Tim Walz's state. And she on camera denied helping them evade ICE when other people were championing her, telling them the information. It was like, just because you didn't tell them how to evade ICE on camera doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Correct.
Because you then on camera said, yes, I am helping them understand their rights, you know, around ICE. If ICE is looking for them, they're not here legally.
That's right.
You are a member of our Congress. This is our country. This is not Somalia. And you were telling these people how to avoid being taken and deported as a sitting US representative. Like, to me, she needs to be in prison.
She do.
That's a
And
that's an easy one.
yeah,
But are the Republicans gonna do it? That's the
that
question.
yeah, they have to do it. Listen, these people. The question is, like I said, that's that vote and sit back, right?
Hmm.
You vote for these things, and then you expect the system to do it by themselves.
Right.
But that's not how it works. It works like what the Democrats are doing. They opened the floodgate and let 20 million people in our country. There was nobody pushing back. There was no
Yeah.
Republican pushback. And,
Hmm.
and, and we didn't play the game like the Democrats do. Now that
Right.
let the 20 million people in, they're
Hmm.
now they're doing what we should have did when they were coming in. They're doing it, stopping it, right? They're in the street. They're physically doing it. The judges are doing it. The mayors are doing it. Everybody that bought into the Office of New American Concept are now protecting those that they brought into this country
Hmm.
illegally. So it's
Right.
up to us. People say, well, Trump hasn't deported enough of these immigrants, illegal immigrants. But check this out. The Democrats didn't have we didn't stop them from bringing them in like they're stopping Trump and the administration from deporting them. So
Mhm.
we have to now become what I call America's most wanted concept. We have to see these people. They've
Right.
given you a number to call them. Get these people out the paint because they're here to displace us and take over our country.
Right, right. You are very correct on that. It is up to each one of us. And so I'm going to end our segment there because I know you got to get ready for your show
Yeah.
coming on at 9, and I want you to be prepared. But
Okay.
again, check out Unc on X. Tuesday through Friday,
Right,
you know,
under Unk Rock, right?
yep, giving that political perspective and allowing us a place to really come and talk about things that we're doing. So thanks again for coming on for Mighty Men Thursday. I really appreciate your voice
Hmm.
in the fight and in the conversation. And thanks for joining us. And again, everybody, check out Unc on X. And we're going to take a short break, and I'll see you guys on the other side.